Welcome back to the Startup Show. I'm John Biggs. Today on the show of Nissan Yaron, he's the founder and CEO of HumAIns. Welcome, Nissan.
Hi, John. Thank you.
Yeah, so HumAIns had a fairly interesting story. You guys were doing work inside of cars, right? To add AI to cars, and then kind of expanded out of that. Why don't you tell me that story?
Yeah, so HumAIns came out of Inpris, which was working on an in-car assistant for a while through since 2018. We figured out that touchscreens, smartphones, and infotainment systems are dangerous, and we figured a way to communicate with them better in a combination of voice assistant and finger gestures. The voice assistant was becoming stronger and stronger. It was based on our internal algorithms. And then in 2021, when in the beginning of 2021, we heard about OpenAI and GPT-3, and we approached OpenAI and convinced them to give us early access to GPT-3. And after a few weeks of playing around with it, understanding the amazing potential of this technology, we started to train it to operate our infotainment interface. And it took us, I think, like hundreds of attempts to fine tune the system and build the data sets to train it to do that. But eventually we succeeded. And then the outcome was the first LLM based assistant that can interact in natural conversation, but also to operate elements in the car or in the media, in phone, like music, navigation, messaging. So you could interact it naturally. Like, I'm running late to a meeting, so write a nice apology and send it to John. And
Hmm.
then it can draft the apology as ChatGPT does today, but also to open my contact list, find John in it, paste the information in the message and send it completely autonomously. Once we achieved it, we understood that um, actually it was a little bit later when we presented it to companies. The feedback that we received made us understand that it has far more potential than just assistant in the car. So it evolved into a complete platform to generate and manage autonomous agents. And then further, we focused on proactive agents that can
Hmm.
lead conversation and create actions in parallel, which today it enables businesses to use them as an autonomous employees that can do outbound tasks, lead conversation completely autonomously in front of customers, and try to convert them or provide information or retrieve information.
Okay, so it's basically went from a nicer way to have somebody change the radio to something that's a lot more complex. So a lot of folks have been doing this kind of thing. They've been adding all these features to like trying to get replace call centers, right? With AI. What have you guys figured out? What's the secret sauce there?
So when most of the companies are trying to use LLMs as the tool itself, we figured that LLMs are more like an engine or even like a fuel. They need a vessel. They need a way to handle the thinking process. They need to be educated. They need the ability to save information and retrieve information. So we created a kind of like a small brain with multiple states. And then we created a state machine where the LLM can change its state and receive new information and new orders even during the conversation. So the LLM is kind of like the cortex or the frontal cortex of the brain,
Hmm.
like similar as humans, like the place that you're processing language and thinking your strategy. But then it needs a backbone. It needs a history. It needs a task. It needs to be grounded to its role. And this is what we created. So we created a vessel that when combined with an LLM, create a human-like behavior. And we've been working on it for a few years, and we were able to reduce hallucinations to almost to zero, to create reliable functions without using any external third-party function calling, just completely from our architecture, and be able to lead the conversation toward convergence.
Okay, so basically this thing sits there and calls you or does something, and it can't be taken off a task. So you can't ask it like, I don't know, to find the square root of pi or something like that, right?
Yeah, you can, and then it will hopefully will react as a human would have reacted. Would say, well, I might be able to do that, but it's not the subject of our conversation. So let's get back to it. Can you please, pay your debt, or would you be interested in this service, or can I please finish providing this important information I have for you? So it should be flexible to the conversation because it's supposed to create a human-like behavior but still stay aligned with the task and fulfill it. And during it, it's providing real-time information to the business about the stage of the task, about its inner thought process, so the business can realize if it's aligned with their tasks and goals. And it provide a dashboard with we provide a dashboard where the businesses can track the process and receive all the information they need.
How close are we to having all of this stuff in regular production? I know that this a lot of this stuff is kind of just being tried out now, especially like in cars, especially in like the call center sort of thing. There's still that uncanny valley effect when I'm talking to somebody who's not real, and I don't really like that. So what's it going to take to get one of these HumAIns to call me at some point?
Well, we are there. I think there's two elements here. There's the experience part, like if it speaks fast and with a human voice, and there's great work being done by great startups just solely for this purpose. That this text to speech will sound naturally, and then there's the thinking element, which is can they handle objections? Can they stay stick to the role? Can they finish their task? And this is where we are, and it's actually running already. So in 2021, in the end of 2021, we launched with 1,000 drivers in Israel, in our country, a in-car assistant that was LLM based, and they're still using it. So we have all the data and we optimize it. And currently, we are already in live pilots with a large company in our country, the biggest one basically, and it's actually doing work. It's converting people. It's engaging with them through messaging currently and with an avatar. But we notice that some people that just message with it, even though it's stated in the beginning that it's an AI, they forget it during the
Mm.
conversation, and it's very natural. And it's actually working. So I think in the next few months and years, for sure, this is going to be very big, and it's starting to scale just now.
What do you do about the people who are losing their jobs? Is there a way to use those folks to train the AI or to manage the AI? That's something like that.
I think it's an amazing question, and I think one of the interesting process that we noticed with the companies that we started to work with in the beginning, some of them thought this is our opportunity to lay off workers and save us money. But when they started using it or understanding the potential, they shifted their mind. They said, "Hey, why won't we use it for growth, and then they will still need all the people, but those people will be handled for more complex situations or places where you want people that has more, let's say, EQ or can handle more complex customers." So I think this is something that a lot of companies will face. They will start with trying to save costs, but if it will work well, then they will generate more revenues. And when they will generate more revenues, they will grow. And when they will grow, they will need more people for new jobs and new tasks. So I think it might, at least in the beginning, will cause reduction in human works and some layoff, I guess. But I think on the medium, not even in the long run, I think in the medium range, it will create even more jobs because companies will grow and they will need people for multiple tasks.
Tell me about the challenges. It sounds like you rolled your own LLM. It looks like you didn't use anything off the shelf. So what were the challenges there?
Okay, so let me put it differently. So we use state-of-the-art LLMs, but we know how to fine-tune them, and we know how to utilize them in a new way. So we created a vessel, which is the state machine. It's a hybrid deterministic and non-deterministic state machine, where the LLM is sort of like the fuel. So the vessel, equip it with the tools to create deep thinking process, to retrieve information, create the functions, and the LLM goes through it like like water in pipes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
We train small models when we need to do it. We can do it on on-premise solutions, but we can also use state-of-the-art LLMs. It's just a matter of cost effectiveness, and we choose it based on the use cases.
Okay, very cool. And how far along are you? You're shipping? Are you raising? What are you doing right now?
So we are both. So we are shipping and we are raising now. We were below the radar for quite a bit because we were working with automotive companies where we are building an extension for their in-car assistants to equip them with much higher capabilities. But these companies are they want to be very secretive because this market has a lot of FOMO and there's a very strong competition. So we signed on NDAs. We can't say much there.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like great work in the automotive space. And currently we decided that we don't want to be just behind the scene anymore. So we decided on use cases outside the automotive with that will provide high value in services. Um, so this is where we are. So the technology is quite mature and it's now growing, and we are onboarding more customers every day. And we are raising, so we will be able to scale and do it as strong as we can.
All right, wonderful. HumAIns.com, HumAINS. Nissan, thank you for joining us. This has been pretty interesting.
Thank you so much, John, and I
All
appreciate
right.
the time.
This is the Startup Show. I'm John Biggs. We'll see you next episode.